Hi, this is Bluefin from Helios Virtual Cockpit. In this video, we'll be discussing one particular use of viewports, which often crops up when people are developing profiles for aircraft which have more than one cockpit. By the end of this video, you'll be able to create a profile which contains information to tell DCS where to export viewports. You'll know what this Helios screen replicator control does in Profile Editor. You'll be able to use the screen replicator control in your profile to place exported copies of viewports into your profile. You'll be able to selectively enable and disable replicated viewports. And finally, you'll know at least one way to hide viewports exported by DCS. In the second half of this video, we'll create an extremely simple profile for demonstration purposes based on the AH-64D Apache, which has a DCS monitor configuration to export viewports for two MFCDs. You'll use the Helios screen replicator control, and it'll have selectable cockpits for both the pilot and CPG. And each of those cockpits will have their own MFCD displays. As we get started, it's useful to know my monitor configurations for this demonstration. This is the Windows 11 display configuration settings screen. The center monitor here is used by DCS. The left-hand one is typically a Helios touchscreen, and the third right-hand display is a screen used for DCS viewports. Jumping over to the Helios profile editor, we can see the same three monitors, the left one being for Helios, the middle one for the DCS game, and that's why it's blue, and then the DCS screen for viewports is the right-hand monitor. Each of the monitors in the in-game view section has a tick in the top left-hand corner, which tells DCS that it is responsible for those particular monitors. The center monitor is blue, or has a blue background, because that's the one where DCS actually renders the game. So we'll just have a little look at the sequence. DCS renders the game to the blue monitor. DCS then reads the monitor setup configuration file, and DCS renders the viewports to our right-hand screen. The screen replicator control inside the profile then captures that MFCD that has been put onto the right-hand monitor, and then the screen replicator renders the captured screen image to the Helios screen. We're now showing a second MFCD being rendered to the right-hand monitor by DCS. These MFCDs cannot overlap. Multiple screen replicator controls can be added to your profile to capture different areas of screen real estate where viewports might be rendered. Unlike DCS, Helios can render two viewports, or rather two replicated viewports within the same area of screen. It's useful to note that the monitor where DCS renders viewports to does not have to be a real monitor. There are various software and hardware solutions which avoid you needing to purchase a new monitor for this purpose. Moving over to Helios Profile Editor, we can see that on the left-hand side we have the toolbox. And within the toolbox, we have a special controls section. In there, we have two controls which we're interested in, the screen replicator and the screen replicator adjustable. The adjustable version of the screen replicator allows you to alter the brightness of the various colors, the contrast, and the gamma. In the properties for the screen replicator adjustable control, we have the three sections as usual. The layout, the appearance section, where we have sliders for brightness, contrast, and gamma, which can be used to adjust the captured image before it's rendered into your profile. Finally, we have the behavior section, where the screen area to be captured is defined. There are two width and heights, one in the layout, one in the behavior, and these should be the same values which you used when you exported the viewports from DCS. The behaviors left and top parameters define the starting point of the viewport that you want to capture. The replication frequency is how often the capture of the viewport takes place in Helios and has a big impact on performance. Fast moving data should have a higher value. Auto start defines whether the capturing starts as soon as the profile runs. You can hide the replication of the control in your profile. You can also rotate it. Not sure why you'd want to do that, but that option is available. We'll now take a little look at the input bindings for the replicator control. Your profile can trigger starting the replication of data and stopping the capture of data. However, it's important to note that DCS will continue to export data. Finally, like any control, you can hide the control within your profile. So let's get started with building our profile. So we have monitor 1 and monitor 3 tabbed at the top of the screen, and we add some interfaces using Control I. The first interface we add is Apache, and then the additional Viewports interface and the DCS monitor setup interface. We also need the keyboard interface for this profile, but that's added as default. We're now in the DCS monitor setup screen, and by default, all of the monitors are blue in the in-game view section, which means DCS will display the game on all the monitors. So we make the left and right monitors white, but make sure that all of the monitors are ticked in the in-game view. Next, we select monitor 3, which is going to be the recipient of the viewports from DCS, and we go into the Apache interface and select the left MFCD for the pilot and the left MFCD for the co-pilot, and we arrange them in a neat order in monitor 3, and we're setting both of them larger than default, so they're both 500 by 500. It is very important that these viewports do not overlap. Remember, monitor 3 is where DCS will put the viewports from the game. Next, we go to the DCS monitor setup screen, and you can see now we've got a pink section in monitor 3, which shows the positions of our viewports. Next step, we need to save the profile. We're saving this as Apache_test, and this then places the profile into the combined section. You can see it here. Next, we can do a configure, and that writes the data for the viewports into the DCS monitor setup files using the name Helios. Now looking into the interface status tab, we go to the DCS monitor setup section, and we'll actually see the locations of the two viewports. We'll need these later. Next, we'll get started with the profile in earnest. We'll create two panels, one for the pilot, one for the co-pilot, and we'll make them different colors and give them labels. We now double click on the panel to open it in its own window, and we add a label. Next, we head down to the special controls in the toolbox, and we select a screen replicator and drag it out into the pilot panel. We'll neaten up its position, and then we'll set the width and height of the display for this control to 500 by 500, which is what we had in the viewport. But we also need to go down to the behavior section and also make that 500 by 500, because this is what's captured at from monitor 3. We're also going to increase the replicator frequency to 10. Because this is the pilot cockpit, we'll make this one auto start. Next, we head back to monitor 1, select the pilot panel, and we'll do a Control-C and Control-V to duplicate the panel, this time for the co-pilot gunner. We'll make the CPG panel a different color, just to make it obvious. Then we'll change the label and we'll change the attributes of the screen replicator. And because this is the co-pilot and it's not the default on profile start, we turn off auto start. We now want to fill in the location where we do the screen capture. So we head over to the interface status, looking at where the viewports were placed. We can see that the X value for both is 5360. The distance from the top for the co-pilot is 500, and for the pilot it's 0. Because we don't want to see the co-pilot cockpit on profile start, we'll set the hidden attribute of the panel, and we'll also click the eyeball against CPG panel in the layers section so that it's not visible. Now we need a way to switch between the two cockpits, and for that we're just going to use a simple toggle switch. We'll set the default position for the switch to be up, which we're going to use for the pilot. Down will be for the co-pilot. The next step is that we want to set the output bindings for position 1 and position 2 to reflect the hidden status of each of the panels. That means that we want, when the switch is up, we want the pilot panel hidden to have a static value of false, and switch 1, when it's entered, we want the co-pilot to have a hidden static value of true, which means that the pilot panel will be visible and the co-pilot panel will be hidden. And we'll do the reverse of that for when the switch is down. Next, we're going to set position 2 for the switch to have start replication for the left MFCD Copilot replicator, and we want stop replication for the pilot's MFCD replicator. And for switch position 1, we want the reverse. Finally, we go down to the interfaces section and we select the keyboard interface and send keys. So we want to have, when the switch is up, we want to send the key 1, which switches us to the pilot cockpit, and when it's down, we want to send the keys 2, which is the co-pilot's cockpit. Below is a link to the profile so you can download it yourself. Obviously, you'll need to do a reset monitors on that profile to match your configuration, and then you'll need to go into the interface status and correctly position the capture positions for the two viewports. The description will also contain information about the options for real and virtual monitor 3 configurations, saving you the cost of a new monitor. So I think it's about time we have a little look at this profile in action. This is a screenshot of the pilot cockpit. This shows both of the MFCDs, and this is the co-pilot, and again you can see the left MFCD. To the right you can see both of the exported viewports. This is the profile in operation, and you can see the toggle switch in the bottom left hand corner. This is showing the pilot cockpit and the MFCD from the pilot, and now this is the co-pilot, again showing the left MFCD from the co-pilot's cockpit. Both of these viewports are in exactly the same position. Hopefully, if you've made it this far, you've found the video helpful in some aspect and hopefully interesting. If you appreciate the work that's gone into creating this video, then please smash that like button. If you've got some comments or questions, then Discord's probably the best place to make them, but happy to field them in the comment section below. Anyway, take care and happy virtual flying.